So here's an interesting concept for you. The less you know, the more you will grow. Okay, it's a really interesting theory. And when I explain to you kind of how I learned that in my life, hopefully the penny will drop. And then I'm hoping you'll go away from this and look for more real learning opportunities within your life. Okay, maybe it's outside of just your business life. Now, entrepreneurs, we're addicted to challenge, to opportunity, and therefore we're constantly stretching ourselves because we know that is what helps us grow. Now, where that happened for me quite recently in my life is when I got asked to go on Strictly Come Dancing. Now, when I did Strictly, I was working with a team of professionals who were at the absolute top of their game, okay? So I was dancing with Aliash, a 19 times world champion, one of the best in the world at teaching ballroom and Latin, okay? I was getting to interact with the producers and directors who their whole career had built up to this career pinnacle of working on the biggest show in TV. The hair and the makeup girls, they were all people who, this is the top of your career ladder if you can work on the biggest show in television. The wardrobe people would give their right arm to work on that show because everybody there is the absolute top of their game, okay? So that for me was an enormous learning opportunity because I wasn't a specialist in any of these areas. I was a specialist in business and there was kind of no call for that within Strictly. So I was taken not only out of my comfort zone, but plopped into somewhere where the things that I was really good at, my skills, meant absolutely nothing. They were of no use to me whatsoever through this process. And I'd spent my whole life dreaming about being on this show and desperate to go and, do well on this show. So all the skills that I had were not going to equip me to do that. I needed to quickly learn from everybody else around me to be able to excel and do well in this. And I think being in business can be a really lonely place, okay? Even when you surround yourself with the best people, you often feel like you're expected to have all of the right answers. You've got to know absolutely everything and never be able to show an ounce of vulnerability. And that is the big thing I really struggled with in Strictly, is I'd never shown vulnerability. There'd never been a situation in my life where I had permission to show vulnerability. I always had to keep on that armour because in business there's no place for it. Whereas in Strictly, I was massively vulnerable because I didn't have the comfort blanket of being the best in my field at what I did because it was of no relevance there, okay? So it really is that opportunity of being a newbie and being able to ask the questions which aren't stupid questions when you're a newbie, right? And I feel like in business, I can't do this because everyone expects me to have the answers. At Strictly, there were no stupid questions. People didn't find my question all that stupid, and actually, they quite liked that I wanted to ask all these questions, so they embraced me. And the more they embraced me, the more it added this kind of rocket fuel to my learning, which was so incredibly valuable. So when I was approached by the producers of Strictly and asked if I wanted to go on, being totally honest, I was racked with guilt. Absolutely racked with guilt. I wanted to do it so badly, but it felt like such an indulgence to have the time away from my family, the time away from my business, all the pressure it was going to put on my staff to not have me in there, on my family to have to kind of cope with me not being around. And it felt like a lot to ask of other people just for me to go and have this amazing life experience, but that didn't really serve any other purpose. Now, I look back and I recognize it has been one of the biggest learning experiences of my entire life, which has had an enormous, profound impact on me developing as an entrepreneur. So I learned through that process, I learned about learning. I learned how I deal with taking on new information and new skills. I learned how to focus and how to manage all my own time within that learning. And that in and of itself is an enormous opportunity to get to do that in your life. And it gave me the chance and the opportunity to be part of a team, not as the manager, not as the leader, not as the one with any responsibility, but as the newbie. And I think it was just fantastic. So I think what I want you to take away from this lesson in my life is, what is your Strictly? Okay? Now, chances are you aren't going to have the opportunity to go on Strictly like I did, but there will be other things and other opportunities in your life where you can take yourself out of what you are good at and immerse yourself in a new world that you aren't good at it. That's the real key. Something that your skills as an entrepreneur, as a business person, aren't going to serve you well at all here. You've got to learn how to be that newbie. That is how you're going to go through those life experiences and learn about the learning. So being a newbie is when we're going to learn the most. You've got to create your own opportunities of where you can go somewhere and be the newbie. And I want you to be watching, listening, learning from all those incredible people around you. That is how you're going to learn. And you've got to make being the newbie a big adventure in your life. Something you can get excited about, something you can really get on board with, really embrace. And hopefully you'll have that amazing learning experience that I had a few years ago.